everyone, welcome back to my channel. So today I want to talk about what you guys can expect and how I felt when we transitioned from 2 to 3 kids. So Lily, I'm a mom of 3 if you don't know. I had 3 kids under 3 years, and my third, my daughter Lily, just turned 1 a couple weeks ago. So I thought that was a perfect time to make this video now that I am used to having her around, and I just would share with you kind of how we felt and how, like, what was the hardest change and hardest in terms of the transition. So the first thing I want to say is the hardest transition was actually going from 0 to 1 kid. When I was used to just having freedom and just walking out the door with a wallet and, you know, just husband and I staying out as late as we want or choosing where we want to go, not really having to think of kids was easy, right? And then all of a sudden you get thrown a kid and everything is just like, okay, everything changes. It's all about the kid. You only can go to, you know, restaurants that are baby friendly, or, you know, you have to take a whole diaper bag with you, right? So that was the hardest transition for us. Then from going from 1 to 2 kids was hard, but it was still easier than 0 to 1. 1 to 2 was hard mentally and emotionally for me the most, more than the actual amount of work, because I was used to having my oldest, my son John, for 1.5 years, and he was all mine. All my attention was on him, and he was my number 1. And then when I had my second, I had this insane amount of guilt, and I'm sure every other parent had the same thing. When all of a sudden your number 1 is not your number 1 anymore, and you're focusing on, you know, your second baby, and I just felt so guilty. I felt like I was neglecting him. I felt I was crying every single day. I had bad postpartum depression because it was killing me, and I was crying every night, like, I feel like John doesn't love me, and I feel like he thinks I don't love him. And I would sit down on the couch with him, trying to read him books, trying to spend time with him, and I would just start bawling because I was so sad. So it was really hard going from 1 to 2 kids in terms of emotions and how I felt. Like, I felt like I was neglecting my first. But then going from 2 to 3, how was that? So I was most terrified to go from 2 to 3. 0 to 1, I was so excited. 0 to 1, I was super excited for. 1 to 2, I was like, I can do this. 2 to 3, I was the most panicked. If you guys have been following my channel long enough, you know that I had bad depression through my pregnancy with my third, and it was mostly because I was terrified of having 3 kids. I was like, I'm gonna be outnumbered. This is gonna be insane. How am I gonna do this? Well, going from 2 to 3 kids was the easiest. It was easiest in terms of emotions, in terms of mental stress and strain. It was the easiest in terms of handling kids and taking care of the baby. I don't know why, but, well, I think I do know why, actually, and I'm gonna explain that. But as soon as I had our third, she just fit right in. The boys were old enough to understand that, you know, she's the baby, so she's gonna have more attention than them. They had, the 2 older boys had each other, so even though we were focusing more on our new third baby, they were taking care of each other. They were friends. They didn't even notice anything was going on. They didn't really care. They were in love with their sister. They wanted to hold her all day, so they were actually helping me. Even though they were little, they were still like, Mommy, I'll hold her for a little bit. I want to play with her, and they would keep her company. So when I would lie her on her play mat, they would go huddle around her and try to make her laugh, and she would be happy laughing with them. So it would keep her busy for me, and I would be able to get things done. In terms of emotions, I had absolutely no postpartum depression, and that was the first time in all 3 of my pregnancies. It was amazing. So I had her, I expected to have the depression, but it wasn't there. And I honestly think it was just all to do with the fact that she just blended right into the family. And I think what happens is the third, because you already have 2 and you already have this like flow in your life happening, the third just kind of jumps in and just kind of continues on with that flow. It was also really relaxing because with my first, like when I had none and then also had 1 kid, I thought I needed all of this stuff. I was like, I need to have 1,000 different baby stations and baby jolly jumpers and extra saucers, and I had like a designated spot where I would change the baby's diaper on his diaper changer in his room, and anytime he had a dirty diaper, I'd have to get up and go to that diaper changer. I gave him a bath every single night. I like did all this stuff. And then when the second came, I kind of slacked a little bit. I realized, nope, didn't use that baby toy, didn't use that extra saucer, didn't use that thing. So I would get rid of it. So it was a little bit less clutter. It was a little bit easier with number 2. I also kind of was like, I'm not gonna wake up in the middle of the night and go to the baby's diaper changer to change the diaper. So I started changing him in our bed, or I would change the baby on the couch, wherever I was. By the time the third came along, I was like, I need like 2 things. I need a buggy and an extra saucer, and then maybe a bumbo. Like, that was it. I would lie the baby on a blanket on the floor, it was just so much more relaxed. I also wasn't sterilizing bottles 24/7, which you don't need to do. I used to sterilize those bottles like crazy. So when my third came along, I was like, nope, don't need to sterilize. Like, I obviously did the first time to clean them out, and then after that I would just wash them with some hot water and soap, and it was perfectly fine. Things just got so much more relaxing with my third. I just knew how to do it, and I was like, I know from the past, I know what we use, I know what we don't, so there was less clutter in the house. And like I said, the kids would take care of her and play with her, and they still do. She now just blends right in. Whatever the boys do, she goes and follows. It's so sweet. And so emotionally and mentally, it was a huge relief on me. And I almost feel like it's easier having 3 kids than it is having 2. Now, don't get me wrong, it is brutal in terms of being outnumbered. So before, my husband would grab a kid, I would grab a kid and be done. Now we're like, you stay there and don't run away while we get the other ones from the car, and like, so it's a little bit more, you got to keep your eyes open, and it's harder, you know, when we're in church, especially because we're outnumbered. So if they're all 3 are being bad, well, we only each of us can only grab one, so it's really hard that way. It's a little bit longer in terms of like getting them ready to get out the door, because we got to get their boots and coats and everything on. And when there's 3, it's just one extra person, right? Like I said before, when you had 2 or 1, you weren't outnumbered. So the little things there, it's more work. It's a little bit more stressful when I'm making, like, at home trying to make lunch, because now I have 3 people to feed instead of 2 or 1, right? So it's just the little things. But overall, like, if you look at our life, it is more relaxed, more peaceful, less hectic. The third one, honestly, she just fit right into the family. And my biggest fear when I found out I was pregnant with her is, how are we going to do this when we're outnumbered? How am I going to handle having a newborn plus 2 other kids? And it was easy. Like, they saw me nursing her, they would leave me alone. They wouldn't bug me. I would say, guys, I need 10 minutes to feed her, go play, and they would. Because they know that she's the baby, you know, she needs me, and they're happy with each other because they have a friend, right? It's hard when they're all alone, or they only, like, they're just by themselves and you have a baby, because then they don't have anyone else to play with, and they're used to having your attention, and then all of a sudden when you have another one, they're like, whoa, who's gonna hang out with me? So I hope that makes sense. But it was honestly the easiest out of all the transitions. 0 to 1 was the hardest, 1 to 2 was medium. It was like a little less than 0 to 1, but it was still hard, and then 2 to 3 was like, no problem. So don't stress if you're pregnant with your third and you're panicking about it. And it's not just me, so many people have said the same thing to me, that the easiest transition was from 2 to 3. And it's still hard. Like, I'm not saying that I have, like, my life is easy, because it is hard. It's so hard with 3 kids. The hardest thing I'm probably gonna say would be grocery shopping. Before, I used to take both boys. One would sit in one side, like I would get a buggy with like 2 seats in it. They would sit in the seat, and the rest of the groceries would be in the back. It'd be no problem. Now, trying to go grocery shopping on my own with 3 is almost impossible. They all are fighting. They all want something. They fight a lot. So that's probably just the hardest thing, but then I just work around it. So I'll go at night when my husband will stay home with the kids, or I'll leave them with my mom and run to the store, or we'll just both go together so that we each can take a kid. We work it out, but that's probably the hardest thing. And that was, I was used to just going shopping in the morning with the kids and doing my thing, and then also when I had a third, I was like, I can't get all of them in the car, all of them out of the car. It's exhausting. So that's the only thing. That's the only thing I could think of that was like really hard with going from 2 to 3. Everything else was so easy, and I have people tell me that if you go from 3 to 4, you don't even notice. Like, you just don't even notice. So I guess the more kids you have, the more that they'll take care of each other and kind of like hang out with each other and keep each other busy. And I think just like it's the experience. Like I said, when I had no kids and then went from none to 1, it was like, it was hard because I had no experience. Like I said, I thought I needed all the stuff. I thought the baby needed a bath every single day. I thought the bottles need to be sterilized every single time. You just have so much more work than you need. Now with my third, I'm like, you know, it's just so much more relaxed. I know what I'm doing. I know what the baby needs. It's just so much more relaxed. So I hope that kind of comforts some of you, and I hope you enjoyed this video. Please share with me your thoughts on transitioning. If you have if you went from 0 to 1, or if you went from 1 to 2 or 2 to 3, how was or even 3 to 4, how was your experience? What was the hardest stage for you, the hardest transition? I would love to know. Thank you so much for watching this video. I love you all, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.